Hello. Gosh, my Propel, not sponsored, but I can Propel because I feel like I always forget to have like a beverage. And then I start I'm just talking a lot, obviously. And because it's just me talking, there's no pause. So I'll be like talking and then I thirsty. So I'm thirsty. I may have just said I thirsty, but I am thirsty. Also, if you're wondering, I am wearing my watch on the wrong hand because I got this watch tan, which honestly doesn't look so bad in this lighting, but I feel like it's bad in real life. So I put my watch on this arm to like try to even it out a little bit. I also have a bit of like a shoulder tan, but oh well. Things can't always be helped. So if you're new to my monthly live stream, since it's a new year, maybe you're new. I like to do a monthly live stream at the end of the month, ideally on the last day of the month. However, I was traveling on the 31st and then I took the weekend to recover. So that's why it's the 3rd of February and we're doing the January live stream. I will kind of go through my whole month, show some pictures, etc., how I'm feeling. If you're watching live, feel free to add whatever comments you want in the chat, ask me a question about whatever. Could be what I'm talking about, something random, as long as it's, appropriate and polite, I will respond. And if you're watching it on the, replay or later, feel free to put something in the comments. I do my best to respond to as many comments as I can. So whether or not you're watching live, I will get back to you 99% of the time. This month has been a lot. I do want to quickly say, just to put it out there, I don't know how this will impact the algorithm, but it's not like I get paid from YouTube anyways. So I do just want to say that I do not support the current President Trump of the United States. I do believe in trans rights, queer rights, women's health. I do not believe in deportation. And pretty much everything Trump's doing, I thumbs down. And I know sometimes it feels like we can't do anything, but you can at least try to call your senators, share what you can, communicate at least within your own community, show solidarity and support to those who need it. I do generally believe that even little things can have like really big consequences in like a positive way. Like you might do something small and the person you help might do something small but all these small things can be something really big. So that's my intro, because I feel like I don't want to just like talk about my month, which is overall really positive, without talking about what I consider to be like a serious crisis that America is in. And it's very disappointing to me that he won the popular vote. I did not vote for him, but I am not the country. So, yeah. With that being said, and to make an abrupt pivot, we're now going to talk about my month. If I offended you with that and you wanted to unsubscribe, be my guest. I don't care. The trash takes itself out, as they say. Now, here's the fun part. I have to look through my photos so I can be like, aha, that's what I did. Though the beginning of the month was initially like relatively calm. I was dog sitting for my friend who was traveling. She has 2 dogs. So you probably saw maybe some shorts with them making an appearance, or even I think with my like goal video, I believe both dogs did make an appearance. The only part of it that was then like complicated was when the LA fires started, because it's a stressful situation already. I was very fortunate in that I didn't have to evacuate, and both my apartment and my friend's apartment where I was staying with the dogs both were like non-evacuation areas. The air was pretty bad outside, but I was lucky that I didn't have to evacuate. Hey Brent, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Just talking about the fires. But I was mostly stressed because now I wasn't responsible for just me. I was responsible for these 2 dogs who I could not carry both of them at the same time because they were too big. So I had to have my go bag. I had to have their go bag. And it was like just a lot of stress that I was not anticipating to have, even though I know that overall I'm super lucky and I feel very grateful for that fact. But it was just like a lot of stress that I wasn't prepared for mentally. No one was prepared for mentally, but I can only talk about like my own experiences. Um, and it was also really sad just to like take the dogs out for walks because they had to be like pretty short walks. I was wearing a mask, but I didn't have masks for the dogs, and they're a little on the older side. And one of them would like cough a bit if we were outside. I felt like for too long, so I was just like a little stressed out. But it did also was comforting for me because, in another sense, like otherwise I live alone, so like I don't have any roommates. I live in a nice apartment complex. Like I see my neighbors and stuff, but like I don't have anyone to like hug. So it was nice that I could at least snuggle with the dogs while I was like stressed out about my life. Uh, and I also was cat watching, which was less stressful because I just had to feed the cat and then I like left versus like spending time with them overnight. But yeah, this is a picture of me and of the dogs walking them. I did not always have them on one hand. Obviously, for the photo, I did. Sometimes I would to be like dog walker boss man, but most of the time they were on two hands because that way they don't always like to sniff the same thing. So I didn't want them to feel like compelled that they had to sniff the same thing, which is not important, but whatever. I also, this is not important, but because it's in my thing, I was really salty about this. So I saw that Taylor dropped the Lover Black from Paris vinyl, but I was actually driving at the time because of when I work on the West Coast versus like when she dropped it for the East Coast time. So I didn't really see it until I was at work, and then it was too late, but I didn't initially it was available. I put it in my cart, and while it was in my cart, it became unavailable. And then I got this salty, nasty email from Taylor Nation being like, you left an item in your cart. And it's like, girl, I didn't leave the item in my cart. I had it in my cart and you yeeted it out. You're the one who made it unavailable. I would have bought it. Like, actually, it's on this side because it's reversed. This whole chunk, like these are all Taylor Swift vinyls, except for the last one, which is Sabrina Carpenter. I would have bought the vinyl, okay? Like, it's not my fault that it went out of stock when it was in my cart. I don't know, I just thought it was a crazy email to get, so I screenshotted it. And then it's just like some stuff from the fire. Like, this is just for comparison for the picture I showed you earlier. This is a picture when like, and you can just see, maybe you can't because it's like through camera, but like it's like yellow. Like the air was so bad. And I was wearing a mask, but again, like the dogs couldn't wear a mask. It was just like crazy. I'm a big fan of your channel. Oh, wow. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's very nice of you to stick around for a few years. It's definitely been an up and down channel, mostly with my mental health. When my mental health is good, we're posting. When my mental health is bad, we're not posting. Would love to be your friend. Well, I'm not sure who you are, of course, parasocial relationships. But I'm on social media, I do like to make, friends around. And I think I'm pretty good at being friends with people, like, who I don't necessarily, I'm in the same zip code. I have people I have friends I met from camp who are like international that I stay in touch with. So anything is possible. But if you mean it in a creepy way, that is not possible. So it's just how it is. Yeah, the air was pretty bad. Also, this is not important, but when we thought TikTok was going to get banned, because I wasn't really sure what was going on, I had to save this video of Chapel Roan from TikTok because she's a goddess. And I was like, no, I can't lose this video. I literally saved like 3 videos, I think, and one of them was that one. But, what can I say? I have my priorities. And a lot of the videos I saved were like Lord of the Rings edits and stuff, or like other shows that I already like, which I already have a lot of memes or photos of, and I didn't feel like compelled that I had to save it. I also was volunteering at the animal shelter still because they definitely had like less. This was Sawyer. He got adopted, but he's a cutie. It's definitely hard when, there's some kind of mass incident because not only are like in a fire, like people losing their pets. So there might be more animals at shelters, but like less people are able to volunteer at the shelter. I mean, I wasn't able to volunteer as much because I was also responsible for, again, like the 2 dogs I was dog sitting, but I definitely wanted to try and like help because they needed people to help clear the yards out because even if you weren't impacted by the fire, there was like ash and debris everywhere and the winds had been really strong. Like my car, for instance, was like covered in ash, which was like really disarming. Again, I understand that I was very lucky and I'm very grateful for that. But as just for me, I was really like surprised to see how much like ash and stuff was on my car because I was like, I'm not in a dangerous area. Why is it like this? And Yeah. So I was, really wanted to try to spend time with the dogs, especially because I knew I was going to be away the second half of the month, and I wanted to try to volunteer as much as I could before I was gone. This is just a cute picture of a husky licking its nose. I believe oh, this is Bug actually. He did not get adopted. He just got fixed. So he's currently coned of shamed, but soon he'll be available at the Burbank Animal Shelter. I also bought a new raincoat for my trip to New Zealand because I had checked the weather. I had a raincoat. It wasn't great. Like it didn't cover like below the waist. And then I looked at the weather forecast and it looked like low key terrible, like lots of rain. And I was like, oh my God. So then I bought a new raincoat and I was sort of devastated how expensive it was. But, I didn't have many options if I wanted like a good raincoat that was like a longer raincoat and like a nice color because it needed to look good with my Hobbiton outfit because it looked like pretty good chance of rain on Hobbiton. And I was like, I already bought like this corset for Hobbiton. Like I can't have this cute outfit and then like this ugly raincoat. Like I cannot do that, which maybe my priorities aren't straight, but you know what? It happened. Like I had been going to get my nails done, like dip powder, no extensions this time, but just like dip powder before my trip. But then I saw how expensive the raincoat was and we did not get the nails done. I was like, okay. See, I'd like to treat myself, but I have limits. And this is me all packed the night before, basically, to go. Got my hiking boots because I had to wear the hiking boots. Oh, I think I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, it hasn't happened yet, but I feel it in my nose. It's really annoying. I had to wear the hiking boots on the plane because they were too big really to pack. And that was fine, like going there because I have TSA pre-check. But like all them where we had a couple flights in New Zealand and I had to take them off every time because they were above the ankle. And I was like, oh, but what can you do? Also, I know you're only allowed 2 items, a personal item and a carry-on. The little purple bag, like I would kind of fold up and it would kind of scrunch into the backpack. But for like when I was not like about to go through that putting on the plane, it was nicer to have like certain things like readily accessible versus like more pocketed away or whatever. And then off I went to New Zealand. And the rest of the video will basically be about my trip to New Zealand. Like generally, I know nobody except maybe like my mom, love you mom, wants to hear. I'm going to keep it like my usual. Just hit my elbow on my craft cards. Embarrassing. Because I will be doing like a vlog specific for the big hike. And I have been doing some shorts and there'll be more to come with like more specific activities. Again, though, if you have any questions about anything in particular or you want more details, put in the chat, put in a comment, whatever, and I will definitely, answer whatever. I want to call myself a New Zealand expert. We did work with like a travel agency, First Light Travel, highly recommend. But they were really great. Like we had really specific things we did want to do, and they really helped us make that happen. So it was a long flight. I flew from LA to San Francisco and then to New Zealand, and my sister flew from New Jersey to San Francisco. And then we went to New Zealand together from there. But I think that flight was like 12 hours maybe. And it's just a long flight. We did it like overnight, like a red eye. And I got the window seat on the way there and she got the window seat on the way back. So which was really helpful because I don't sleep that well on planes. And we were more worried about my adjusting sleep energy level than hers on the way there. So I think I did sleep for maybe 5 hours, maybe 6. I watched, I think, 3 movies. I watched 4 movies on the way back, and one of them was almost 3 hours long, just as evidence for how much worse I slept on the way back, even though it was like the same length. But again, I didn't have the window seat. I wasn't really able to lean. I know this is now the end of the month, but Nicole did let me lean on her a little bit, which was very nice of her, except like once, like when she was asleep, like when she like jerked and then I went, all over the place. So yeah. But anyways, we got there and it was kind of gray but bright out, which I thought was like a positive. We went to like this park and there were all these big bright flowers and it just felt like really like auspicious. It felt like a really good sign that there was like these bright flowers and beautiful plants and everything. We went to museums in Auckland. We really only had like the day we arrived in Auckland and then we were like, whew, off on our mission. to Lord of the Rings it up. So we, went to some museums, explored the gardens, had some food. Overall, also the food in New Zealand is so good. I wasn't expecting it to be bad, but like it was all so good, and I highly recommend like whatever food you try, like it's gonna be good. Also, there were so many sheep in New Zealand. I love sheep. Sheep are my favorite animal. So I was living my best life. Also, I should have prepared for this, but I got this adorable sheep. Oh, so cute. I named her Kiwi, like kiwis, ha ha ha. And also because in New Zealand, like they call themselves Kiwis, like not like New Zealanders, they're Kiwis. I don't really know why, but I'm here for it. Anyways, so this was random, but like the museum we went to had like a little psycho house, which I had to take a picture of because like movies, right? Yeah. Anyways, so that was like the first day. Oh, here's a picture of Nicole like with a moa bird. Very big birds. Very big birds. Then the next day was the day that we actually had to drive, and driving in New Zealand for an American is the wrong side of the road and the wrong side of the car. So that was a bit stressful. Nicole did a great job. I did drive as well, but I would say she drove like maybe 3/5 of the time. I won't go as far as say 2/3. She might disagree, but I would say 3/5. So driving was definitely stressful. Like the highways were not a problem, right? Because you like can only really go one way. But like the regular streets and like the left and right turns and how they're like opposite from which is big and small in America was weird. Okay. But we did it. No problems. Thank God. And our first day was Hobbiton. So we went to Mata Mata and we looked great. I was obviously wearing my costume corset and dress. And then Nicole just wore like a dress because she didn't have a she could have gotten one, she just didn't want to. It was raining, so I did have my raincoat, and you can see me here. I think, I'm happy that I paid for the raincoat that I did because I do genuinely think, even though for most of the pictures that I like ended up posting somewhere, I had the raincoat off. Like it did look good with the outfit, and I didn't feel like hideous. And the coat also was a good length. Like in general, it had lots of pockets, which was good whenever I needed pockets, like anytime. But I think it was a real win. Enough of the outfit though. I just thought Hobbiton was so magical. Like literally we like walked through the kind of like footpath area, and then there it is, like bag end to the top of the hill, just like overall. I mean, it was beautiful. Even though it was raining, like it honestly, because we're raining, it like smelled like fresh and alive. It was just stunning. Everything was so cute, so detailed, like 10 out of 10. Like I cannot say enough how just like fabulous it was. If you have a chance to go ever, you should go. You should go. And as of I think the December 2023, you can actually go in a hobbit hole. I didn't actually realize you couldn't before. I guess I never like looked into it. I just assumed you could, but you actually couldn't. But now you can, and it was incredible. It was amazing. You've definitely seen the short of me. Well, not definitely. It's not viral, but it's done pretty well for me. Oh, I think I just broke a nail. Where I'm like, rolling dough for like a pie and stuff. Like that's all in the hobbit hole. It's so good. We also did like the marquee lunch. So that was fun. We did this sort of like a buffet lunch, like Hobbit style. It was nice to talk to other people who like love Lord of the Rings and Hobbit, even though they said like 40% of the people who go haven't seen the movies or anything. But most people we talked to at least like had seen the movies, even if they weren't like super fans, they like knew what we were talking about. And you also get, if you're of drinking age, you are able to get like an alcoholic beverage that they only have like if you're at Hobbiton. So that's kind of a fun perk. Like I got the Saukville cider because I like hard ciders, and it was delicious. Like honestly, the whole thing was like amazing. I had a great time. Rain or no rain, like I was living my best life. Like evidence of me living my best life. I was having a great time. And Nicole had a good time also. But again, it's Lauren's channel. Nicole's not here presently. And then we had like time in the like sort of the rest of the day. We drove from Mata Mata to Rotorua. I also apologize if I like butcher any names. I do not know how to pronounce things, but I will try my best. And we did this tree walk thing, which sounds weird. And I guess it was sort of weird, but it was really cool. It was basically we were like 60 feet in the air, I think. Walking among these redwoods. And it was funny because Nicole's like, oh, there's some redwoods. And I'm thinking, what do you mean? Like, there all can't be redwoods. Redwoods are like native to California. These redwoods actually are from California. Like they actually the original redwoods they brought from California and then like in 19 like early 1900s, and they just did really really well in the New Zealand climate. Like it takes them much less time to basically grow because of like the moisture, the dirt, whatever. Like they just do really well. So it is actually like trees originally from California that are now in New Zealand, and they brought them over mostly for like the lumber industry. But they also have these trees here that we can just kind of like enjoy um, as residents or tourists or whatever. And it was beautiful. I mean, redwoods, I've been to a couple of redwood forests now, and they just like smell really good. And they're also just beautiful, large trees. And it was really cool to do like a big tree walk where they are very careful. Like, yes, they have maybe some ropes around the trees, but none of the wood actually touches any of the trees. They have like kind of a buffer zone for it. I'm not sure what the plan is for if the trees ever grow like more and more wide necessarily, but like right now, like they didn't have to harm any of the trees to like do any of the platforms or anything, which I think is great. And it was raining a bit more there, so I was raincoated up. We did change though at the hotel, like we weren't wearing our like cute dresses and stuff for that. Um, and then our hotel was also right near some like thermal vents, which I wasn't expecting, so that was cool. The next day was like the big volcanic day, so we went to the Wamangu Volcanic Valley, which is like full of geothermal stuff. It's the world's youngest geothermal system, apparently, which was only like a little stressful because like all throughout there, we're talking about times when there was like an eruption or like something happened, which is like a little disarming. We were very lucky the volcanoes erupted, and when we were later on in Quake City, as far as I know, there was no earthquakes, so we lucked out there. It was beautiful. It was, like, warmer than the weather kind of forecast because obviously, like, there's, like, these geothermal, like, hot spring, like, vents of air coming up, into your face and stuff, which, like, I just hadn't thought about when we looked at the weather. So we were both wearing pants. Nicole rolled her pants into shorts, like, pretty early on. I did it a little later. But then it was nice to have the pants again when we were on, like, this boat cruise because there was a little more of a breeze. But it was just, like, stunningly like, all that, like, mist and stuff is, like, coming right from the water, and do I have a video of it moving in a kind of ethereal way? Um, okay, well, this is like a hot spring geyser, like, it's just shooting right up, which was just wild to me, like, and it was all over. It was all over that whole region and area, like, the volcanic valley had a lot, but just in general, it was, like, all over the place. Um, it was very mystical, like, it felt so otherworldly, and it's just crazy to me that it's just, like, for the people who live there, like, that's just New Zealand, like, that's just where they live, which I guess, like, no matter if you live with anything kind of like that, that's how it is, but it felt crazy to me. But yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, like you can see here, there's some different colors, and like the red, I think, is like iron and rust. And then you can sort of see here, there's like layers for like the water might be, and then like different sediments. So it's just like really impressive. Like geologically, I'm not a geologist, but for people who are, I bet they like go crazy at volcanic valleys. For the rest of the day, because that was like the first part of the day, we actually did this thing that my sister found, which was mini golfing with rabbits, which sounds like maybe evil, but these rabbits, there were maybe like six or seven of them. They had total free reign of like the whole mini golf area, and they had their own little like homes, so they could stay out of people's way if they didn't want to like interact with people. As you can see, there were three rabbits like just laying down, and we made it really clear we were gonna like play golf in case they wanted to move. They didn't care. They literally did not budge. They were just like, "I'm here. What are you gonna do about it?" Which made it a little harder to do the mini golf part because you like don't want to hit the rabbit. But like, who cares about your score when you're mini golfing with literal rabbits? Because it's so cute, and you could pet them. The only thing that like the owner said was like if they're hopping away from you or they seem like not interested, like please don't follow them. Like basically just like animal consent, right? Like if you're petting them, if you approach a dog or cat, they want to interact with them. If you approach and they're not interested, don't follow them. Like basic stuff. But it was really fun, very random, but really fun. And then we drove to our next destination, which was Tongariro National Park. And we were there for one night, but we did like two kind of hikes. The first day we did a smaller hike because we drove in like the morning. And and then we did this hike to the Taranaki Falls, which were really pretty. And I was happy that we made it because it was beautiful. And it was like not crazy, crazy hot, but it was warm and there wasn't that much shade on the trail. Not that we were expecting a ton of shade. Some like towards the end, but like the whole beginning was there was no shade. And we started in like the middle of the day. Um, so I mean that was sort of to be expected that it was going to be hot. But that's sort of what we planned for our big hike to then be the next day. And that was also good just to like get some like blood pumping. I mean, I think we did a lot of like walking the whole trip, honestly, but especially because the next day was the big hike day. And it was cool that our hotel was like right in the national park because the next day was the big alpine crossing, which I did vlog. And I have footage from my phone, my camera, and Nicole's camera. So I will be making a vlog of the alpine crossing. I have no promises for what footage it is, if it'll be good at all, but I promise it will exist. And that was a certain signs said 19, some signs said 20-kilometer hike, which is about 12 miles. And we started at 6:30 a.m. and we ended around 2. Now we did take a lunch break and other breaks. Nicole probably could have done it faster, but I needed more breaks. I had been like training for it, but I was still sore for 5 days afterwards. But they have to rescue like 2 people a week on average. So I'm just happy I wasn't one of those 2 people. Okay. That's a victory. I did it and I didn't have to be rescued. And it was incredible. First of all, it was very exciting to be so close to Mount Doom, of course, but also I've never done anything like that. And I honestly felt like so defeated really early on because I was like, I'm never gonna be able to do this. Like, this is embarrassing. I'm like ruining this. And Nicole's so excited about it. And I'm just gonna ruin the whole thing. And then, I was like, Nicole, do you think I can do it? And she just said yes, like so fast. I really appreciate that. Love you, Nicole, because she was so positive and it made me feel positive too. And it made me really understand how it said like not only do you be like physically prepared, but you also need to be like mentally resilient. And Nicole definitely helped me like push through. We also had hiking poles. One of my coworkers said that only like Americans use hiking poles in the crossing. First of all, that was not true. We saw people who were not American, those who said they weren't American, and other people who had spoken different languages, so they could have been American. But there seemed to be a variety of people using hiking poles. And for all the people that we saw fall down the scree section, not a single person with hiking poles fell. Okay, so take that as you will. We did not fall, and it was really really beautiful. This is me and Nicole by Mount Doom, which funnily enough is actually this is not actually the tallest part of the hike. It's like the first section. There's like the multiple sections. That's like one of the sections, but then you actually have to go up higher for like Red Crater, and then it goes down after that. So I thought that was interesting. Like you kind of feel like Mount Doom is the high point, but it's actually not. Um, but it was crazy. And like this is me and Nicole. This is actually we're like by the Red Crater. So this is actually like the highest part that you go on this hike. And behind us is the Blue Lake, which was beautiful. And I was feeling like we were feeling like queens at that point, right? Like we're doing the thing, even though we have like hours to go because you may be like climbing up, right? But then you have to actually climb down. And going down, there was like the longest section of switchbacks known to mankind. Like so many switchbacks. Like we were going down for like there must have been over an hour and a half of switchbacks, if not more. Like it was crazy. And the terrain was just really different. Like going up was a lot more like rocky, gravel, like dirt. And then going down, it was like, oh, there's actually like bushes and eventually trees, and it was like lush. There was green, like grass and stuff, which just goes to show, like even in a relatively small area, like there can be so much like biodiversity and different environments, which is why it's again like so important. And they made it really clear, like always, like stay on the trail, one for your safety, but also for the environment and for the animals and ecosystems in life that's right there. That you respect that stuff. Which I, 2 thumbs up, 2 thumbs up for that, respecting nature. Here's a picture where you can see the Red Crater. So we were, I guess, up there, and there's the Red Crater, and then there's Mount Doom behind it. Nicole very nicely carried like all the main food and snacks and stuff and water. I carried like a little water, sunscreen, my cameras, a couple other little things, but Nicole carried the big stuff. And then we had a really nice dinner to treat ourselves after that because we deserved it. And then the next day we went to Wellington. Well, actually after that day we went to Wellington because we did the hike in the day, and then our shuttle, because it's a one-way hike, so you arrange like a shuttle. We arranged a shuttle transport with our hotel. So the shuttle picked us up at 6, and then we made the 3 o'clock pickup to like go back. So it's one way. So at a certain point, like it's actually faster to like finish than turn around. If that makes sense, because it's not like a full, it's not an out and back. The next day we had our Wellington Day, which was super fun. It was basically like a whole Lord of the Rings day, and we went to a bunch of filming locations, including we went to Rivendell. This is so funny. This is like a height in the Rivendell area. They have this like height accurate board from the book, not the movies, the book. And like I knew hobbits were short, but like Frodo is so short. Like it's crazy to me. He's like teeny tiny. And Nicole and I are like the same height as Gandalf, which is funny. Um, we went to the Weta workshop, which was awesome. Here's me and a troll. So the Weta workshop, they like did all like armor, prosthetics, like sets, all this stuff. They called like miniatures, and did they call like maxitures? I don't know. There was something they said for like a big stuff as well. They did like both. And then that one, you couldn't take a lot of pictures and stuff for most of it because some of it's like proprietary or licensing or whatever. But it was just so great to like experience. So you don't need a picture to be like, wow, you know. And they had some stuff from other movies and franchises, like Narnia and some like more sci-fi stuff too. I just wasn't as excited about that. So I didn't really categorize everything because you can only remember so much. But it was really amazing. And we went to like the Hobbits like hideaway, which was crazy. Like literally crazy. Like obviously the movie they have like the tree and all that stuff, but like still. And I'm in Frodo's reading tree, like where he's reading the book. Nicole said there too. It was wild. Like to be somewhere where they actually were filming and where certain actors were like actually were just like life fulfilling, you know what I mean? Like just crazy. And Wellington was just really pretty. I mean, the whole thing was really good. We went to the Wellington Museum, which had a really interesting exhibit, like a temporary exhibit, basically talking about the influence of like Chinese people and basically a lot of the policies against them initially and how they've been kind of combating that anyways, which I thought was very interesting because I really didn't know anything about it. I knew more about there had been various disagreements between like the government and like the Maori people, but I wasn't really as aware of like other social issues, I would say. So that was fascinating to learn about. And also it was funny, like their airport has like a Hearst eagle and Gandalf on it, just like at the airport, which was really funny. And then we were in Queenstown, which was beautiful. Definitely kind of felt like a touristy vibe for people who are from New Zealand as well as like visitors, but it was beautiful. It was right by like the lake. Again, great food. While we were in Queenstown, we did another full day Lord of the Rings tour where we got to go to the place where they see the Oliphants and where they have the potatoes, boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew, which was crazy to be there. Let me just say, crazy. And I mean, again, just like a really beautiful place. Like this is like the view from the lake. I mean, it was just stunning. Like the whole place was crazy. I couldn't get over how beautiful it was. Every day it was just like more beautiful. And I found this sheep statue. Again, there's actually a statue of this dude who I don't even know who the dude is. All I knew was there was a sheep. And I was like, yes, sheep. So yeah. And along with the tour, that day tour, like the half day tour, because then we went up to the helicopter. I'd never been in a helicopter before. It was amazing. I really loved it. Honestly, like here we are, geared up. I low-key want to go on another helicopter. It was fascinating. It was cool. It was like a Lord of the Rings focused helicopter tour. So we did like see some specific like filming locations, from above. We landed on a glacier. It was wild. Then we went to Milford Sound the next day. That was the only day that really the weather like got really in the way because we were supposed to take a bus there, do a cruise around the Sound, and then fly back over the Sound. But the weather was really bad. It was too windy for the plane, so we had to take the bus both ways, which meant more bus time, like another 3 hours of transit, which was annoying because it kind of impacted the hike we could do later. But we still, at the end of the day, saw a couple more film locations, and the Sound was incredible. Like it's the kind of place where I feel like you feel small, but like not in a bad way. Like you feel like you're part of something huge. You're part of like this beautiful, magical world because like first of all, you are like all the time. But when you're there, it was crazy. Like it's just these like huge, kind of cliff vibes and like this beautiful water. There were birds and we saw, I think they were sea lions. The guy, like the commentator skipper guy said they were seals. But to me, they look like sea lions. Like, they had kind of like the nose and like the whiskers, they're brown. And I have to look into that more. But it was just gorgeous. Like, it was a long day, like a lot of travel. We did like get to stop on the bus. There were certain stops. We saw a couple lakes and everything like that. But I think it's so worth it to go. Like, it's just amazing. And then our last like full day in Queenstown, we did what did we do? Or maybe we didn't have a last full day in Queenstown, and then the day after the sound, we went to Christchurch. It's all blending together in my brain. Let's see. Oh yeah. I guess the day after that, we were Queenstown in the morning, right? So we did another little hike. That's why I'm confused, right? We did another little hike in a different part, like the Queenstown General Walking Trail, and then we went to Christchurch, which was sadly like our last city destination. We went to the Canterbury Museum pop-up because a lot of the city was destroyed in some earthquakes, I believe in like 2010, 2011. So some things are back and some things aren't back. But they still had like a couple pop-ups. So we went to like the Canterbury Pop-Up Museum. And then we went to this other art museum where it was open late on Wednesdays, which is really nice because we were there on a Wednesday. So we got there at 5, which usually it closes at 5. But that day closed at 9. We did not stay until 9. I think we were there until maybe 7 because we went to see some art exhibits, and then they actually had like a live dance movement performance inspired by one of the exhibits, which was definitely a modern art performance. But I thought it was pretty interesting. I think my sister thought it was weirder than I thought it was. But I always like that kind of like new experience. Like, that's an experience. You're not going to have that other places. And then the next day was our last like big thing, which was a Edoras Lord of the Rings tour. Like, even like the truck said that, which I thought was really cool. And we went all by like places in Rohan. We did have to schlep the weapons up the hill, but like I was able to take a picture with Sting, which was really fun. Like, I don't know, it was just all in all like just like such a great time. And then sadly the next day we left. I went back, and that was basically the month. And yeah, that was it. Thanks for tuning in. I know it ended up being longer. I'm sorry I talked so much about New Zealand, even though I said I wasn't going to do. I did honestly left so much out to keep it like brief, and it's still 40 minutes. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next month for my live stream with other videos, the Alpine Crossing coming up, and a bunch of shorts I have scheduled. And eventually the fashion video and the budget video. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. Again, feel free to leave something in the comments if you want me to hear something. Like the video if you liked it, and I will see you next time. Bye, and happy February.